What's My Line? Brought to you by Bayer Aspirin. Pure aspirin for pure pain relief. Bayer works wonders. And now let's all play What's My Line? And now let's meet our What's My Line panel. First, the delightful star of stage and television, Miss Arlene Francis.
And now, one of the liveliest men in television, the effervescent moderator of the match game, Mr. Gene Rayburn.
Thank you, dear. I am enormously pleased to present one of my favorite game players, whatever that means. She's going to be seen soon in Bye Bye Rayburn in the film, and here she is, Miss Miniskirt of 1967, Phyllis Newman.
Thank you very much. I don't know what to say about the next gentleman that hasn't been said already. He's adorable, Bennett Cerf. Just watch it, Bennett. Just take it easy.
You've just come from a discotheque. Our master of ceremonies is a rather diffident young fellow and a little nervous at times, and he loses his voice when he gets nervous, and he can't say a word. So let's give him a big hand. John Charles Daly.
My first duty tonight is to explain that Phyllis's dress has a lot of little plastic discs on it.
Yes.
And therefore, Bennett said it was a discotheque.
Thank you,
Which
John.
is about usual for Bennett, so this is a great way to start the night. And it's nice to see you again, Phyllis. Gene,
Thank
it's
you.
wonderful to have you with us after last Sunday night, which I thought was wonderful good fun.
Thank you, John.
Miss Arlene all in flowers. She is forever spring. And then there's Bennett. Discotheque. Well, we've got some good occupations. We also have a famous mystery guest to come before the panel a bit later on. But right now, let's meet our first contestant. Will you enter and sign in, please? Brenda Bertke. Judy Choate. Right now? Would you mind telling us where you're from?
Brooklyn, Michigan.
Brooklyn, Michigan?
Yes.
Is there nobody here from Brooklyn, Michigan? No, I did that. It's almost a pro forma in television or radio, or if you're walking along the street in Keokuk and you say you're from Brooklyn, there's always somebody from Brooklyn. But I hadn't known about Brooklyn, Michigan. Well, I think it's fair that we should tell the panel, don't you both think so, that this is a summer occupation we're talking about, because you're both entering your sophomore year, is it, in high school?
Yes.
In this coming September? Fine. And then, if I may, I'll present the panel. Brenda Bertke and Judy Choate. Now, will you come over here, please? Join me, and we'll let the audience in the theater and the audience at home know exactly what your line is. Well, panel, we can tell you that Miss Judy Choate and Miss Brenda Bertke are salaried and that they deal in a product. And we'll begin things with Bennett Cerf.
Well, Brenda and Judy, have these products got anything to do with one of these three things? Food, drink, or animals?
Yes.
Well, animals.
Yes.
Yes? You have something to do with animals.
Yes.
Are they four-legged animals?
No.
One down and 9 to go, Miss
Are they small animals?
Yes.
Are they in the bug category?
No, I don't think we can call them bugs. That's 2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Rayburn.
Are they in the bird family?
No.
3 down and 7 to go, Miss Newman.
Can I ask something? Are worms considered bugs? I'm just asking you, John.
No, we would not consider them bugs.
Oh, is it anything to do with worms, tackle, or anything like that?
Yes.
Oh, you do something with worms?
Yes.
The diet of
You
worms.
talk to them. I don't know. I have to guess what you do to the with
Right.
the worms.
Mhm.
You sell worms for tackle, and find them and sell them, and dress them up and paint them.
Good. That was 1. You count them, you dress them up as 2. 3 is you paint them, and 4. What was that? I missed the other one there. No, actually, that is none of those things, but it is associated with preparing them for use as bait. But just see if you can figure out what it is.
It's not using them for bait that they're prepared.
Well, they're prepared for use for bait, but what they particularly have to do in the process of preparation. Just see if for fun if you can catch
Right.
what
You
Miss Judy and Miss
don't
Brenda do.
get them out of the ground yourselves.
No.
You don't put them on hooks.
No.
You don't put them in bottles or cans.
Do you
We ran
label
out.
them?
We ran
Sell
out.
them. You don't sell them.
No, actually, this is kind of fun. I don't think
What?
you'd catch it if we spent all night on it. Miss Judy and Miss Brenda count worms. And this counting is very important because they work with, Elliott's
Yes.
Wholesale bait shop, right? And they're paid on the basis of the number they count. So
How
they
do you
count
count
very
them? You
diligently.
just push them aside as you count
Oh, it's
them?
easy, Bennett. You go 1, 2, 3, 4. How do you
I'm
count
quite
them?
serious. How do you count worms?
You probably with a stick, huh?
Well, no, they're laid out on a table, and you pick them up. You count them and put them into a little cup.
One at a time?
Yes.
Are they all the same color? Worms?
Yes, usually.
Are they icky?
No, not really.
No.
Do you love your work?
Did you ever take any home as pets?
No.
You didn't? Well, I think anybody could take either one of you home as a pet member of the household would
Thank
be
you.
lucky. You're wonderful, both of you, to have joined us, and thanks very much, and lots of success counting this summer. We'll have another contestant for you in just a moment after this word. Now to meet another contestant. Will you sign in after you have come through the door and moved up to the board and entered, please? Hazel Bryan. Right, ma'am? All right. Is it Miss or Mrs. Bryan?
Miss.
Miss Bryan. And where are you from?
I'm from Jamaica,
From Jamaica?
in
Are
the
you-
West Indies.
But you're now here in New York,
Yes,
are
I
you?
live
And working in New York?
Yes.
Working in New York. All righty. Miss Bryan, may I present the panel? All right. Now, will you join me over here, please? And we'll let the audience in the theater and the audience at home know exactly what your line is. All right. Panel, we can tell you that Miss Bryan is salaried and deals in a service. And we'll begin things with Jean Rayburn.
Well, after a worm counter, I, am ready to expect anything. Miss Bryan, is the service you do a useful service?
Oh, yes, very useful.
And is the service done to people?
Yes?
You mean specifically here, an application of...
2 or 4 people?
2 or 4, and
Yes.
that, as long as we understand each other,
I
yeah.
stuck out of that one okay, didn't I? Am I getting the hang of it, Arlene? Yes, sir.
If I hadn't started everything off with a good laugh about the discotheque, you would not have gotten away with that, too, yeah.
Do you do this alone, Miss Bryan?
No.
1 down and 9 to go, Miss Newman.
If I wanted to avail myself, would I sometime possibly avail myself of your service? Could I? Yes?
Yes, you could.
If I wanted to, would I have to come someplace where you are? Would it be possible?
Sometimes. I think if that's fair, you
Yes.
could,
Not necessarily, sometimes.
but you could.
Do you wear something other than a street dress when you perform your service?
No.
2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Now, Miss Bryan, I understand you to say that you do not do this service single-handed.
No, I
said
think
there's
the
more than
question
one.
was posed on the basis of if you worked alone, and the answer to that is no.
Well, now, is there more than one other person working with you when you do this service?
Yes, sometimes, yes.
Is there any music involved in the service you perform?
No.
3 down and 7 to go, Miss Francis.
Is your service useful to both men and women?
Yes.
Do you speak to them when you deal with them?
Yes, I speak to them.
Do you have any particular training for your job?
Yes, I have.
Is your training a formal kind of training?
Yes, it is.
Have you a title other than Miss Bryan?
No, I haven't.
4 down and 6 to go, Mr. Rayburn.
Does one have to come to you?
No, that has been asked, and we have agreed that you could sometimes go personally to receive the service, but it would be possible to benefit from the fruits of the service without appearing personally in the same area in which Miss Bryan works.
Are you a teacher of any kind?
No.
5 down and 5 to go, Phyllis.
If I availed myself of your service, would I pay for it? No, not directly or indirectly.
No. Nope. 6 down and 4 to go,
In
Mr.
other
Cerf.
words, then, may I assume, Miss Bryant, that you do not work for a profit-making organization?
No, I don't.
Do you work for some kind of a government service?
Yes.
Is there anything connected with health involved with what you do?
Sometimes.
Would there be anything in getting some kind of a certificate or some kind of for getting possibly a vaccination or anything of that sort? Have anything to do with it?
No. 7 down and 3 to go, Miss Francis.
Does your work involve paperwork, Miss Bryan?
Sometimes. Indirectly.
If someone were to use your service, would you give them a piece of paper or something in return?
No.
8 down and 2 to go, Gene Rayburn.
Do you ever direct someone to pay the government additional monies?
9 down and 1 to go, Phyllis.
Did you learn what you do in the United States? Did you go to some sort of school or have some sort of instruction for what you do here?
Yes, but not only here.
But not only here. Does it involve languages in any way?
Yes, it does.
Is it any kind of interpreting, or are you an interpreter at the
Yes.
United Nations?
Right. And the toughest kind, too. Miss Bryan has been with the UN for 2 years and is a simultaneous interpreter. Does that very tricky.
What
And
language, Miss Bryan?
French. From French or Spanish into English.
How about that Jamaican language? What do they call it? Banjan or something like that? What is the Jamaican language that they
The
call it?
Jamaican language?
Yeah, there's a language they speak down there. That...
French.
No, there's a Jamaican sort of dialect, which is
They have
sort
a
of
name for
basically
it.
English, but it's...
They have a name for it, haven't they?
No, it's just a
What they
patois.
do?
Do they have a name for it? No. But I
Not that
don't.
we know. But actually, Miss Bryan took her degree in languages in Jamaica at college, but you also lived in France for
Yes,
some years,
yes,
didn't
I
you?
did.
Huh? Well, it must be a wonderfully interesting job. And I used to know an old joke that I'm sure Bennett told me, but I can't get it up. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak, and they passed it down through a lot of interpretation, and it came out, the meat is spoiled, but the alcohol is ready, or something like that. Oh, well, sorry about that. Nice to have you on the stuff. We'll meet tonight's mystery guest in just a moment, but first, this message. And now we come to the special feature of our program, the appearance of the mystery challenger, for which, as all of you well know, the panel is always blindfolded. Are the blindfolds all in place, panel?
Yes.
Righto.
Good. Will you enter mystery challenger and sign in, please? as you know, panel, only too well, a different form of questioning this trip. One question at a time, in turn moving clockwise, and we'll begin things with Arlene Francis.
Are you in the theatrical profession?
Yes, I think so.
Mr. Rayburn?
In the execution of your duties, do you ever have occasion to talk funny?
Well, some people think I do that. I don't necessarily have to do it, though.
Miss Newman?
Are you currently appearing in a show on Broadway?
No.
One down a night ago, Mr. Cerf.
Is there only one mystery guest tonight?
What?
Yeah, the only one of me, yes.
Arlene?
What happened?
Only one.
Only one.
Oh, there is only one, but my, how versatile.
Changing voice.
Yes, we can't tell whether it's a man or a woman. The main thing is that he can, or she can. Would you consider yourself a leading man?
Well,
Yes, Mr. Rayburn.
Are you primarily an actor as opposed to a singing star?
There've been a lot of questions about that.
I would think, this is not to deny both skills, but I would say, yes, basically and primarily an actor. Miss Newman?
In a movie or television, would you get the girl at the end? I hope so, for your sake. But what?
I didn't know there was any other way to get her.
That's yes.
What?
Well, you got a yes.
Yes.
Mr. Cerf?
I take it that was a yes, was it?
That was a yes. Mm-hmm.
Would you describe yourself as the dashing type, something like Mr. George Hamilton?
No, sir.
I'll leave the answer to stay, but agree that there's a dashing type nevertheless. Miss Francis?
Dashing type, but not George Hamilton.
Are you now, or have you recently made a picture in New York?
No.
2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Rayburn?
Are you now working?
yes, I'm working very, very hard right now.
Phyllis?
Have you ever made records?
Yes, I made an album.
Mr. Cerf?
Have you ever appeared on the Broadway stage?
Yes, I appeared on the Broadway stage.
Miss Francis?
Do you write as well as perform?
I didn't get that.
Do you write as well as perform?
No.
3 down and 7 to go. Mr. Rayburn?
Have you ever worked with a wooden dummy?
Yeah, my last leading lady.
What?
That was a joke, son.
What was the
4
answer?
down and 6 to go.
What was the answer to that? We didn't hear it.
Yes, my last leading lady. That was like...
Do you have a wife who's in show business?
No, ma'am.
That makes it 5 down and 5 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Have we got a wife who isn't in show business?
No.
That
Like
makes
to meet
it
a nice
6... Well, you kind of shook that one all out anyway. All right, Arlene.
I don't know what happened there. He has no
Well,
wife.
I'm not sure myself. He's not married to a wife who is in show business, and he's not married to a wife who is not in show business, and Phyllis feels he ought to meet a nice girl. That's about where we are.
Have you been in the Broadway theater in the last year as a performer?
Yes, I have.
Mr. Rayburn.
Did you sing in that production?
Well, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever gone to Vietnam? I mean, with a troupe
Yes.
performing?
Yes.
You have?
Mr. Cerf.
Oh.
Was the play that you appeared in played below 42nd Street?
No.
No?
That's 7 down and 3 to go. Miss Francis?
Are you at the present time playing in summer stock?
No.
That's 8. Wait a minute. We're going to have a small conference.
He's still there.
All right, well, this is a little bit tricky. I'll explain it later. That's 8 down and 2 to go, Mr. Rayburn.
Are you about to go out in the national company as the leading man in a play called, I can't think of the play now.
Cactus flower.
Cactus Flower.
Yes, I.
Hugh O.
Oh, you are.
Hugh O Brian.
Wonderful. Only one correction. Hugh is playing in Cactus Flower now. So that, but last time we met, was I think Phyllis raised it, we were talking about you were about to leave for Vietnam again and to play Guys and Dolls.
We just got back. We did Guys and Dolls over there. It was my second time over. It was a very fantastic and rewarding experience and a very humbling one. I saw Gene just before I went over, too.
Yes, we did some interviews together, and those tapes you sent back from Vietnam were marvelous, Hugh. They really were quite good.
Well, the guys are marvelous over there.
Who did that female voice, you or John?
A friend of mine. I got him in a pocket here.
You worked very well. You see, Hugh's an old Marine. Did you get to see some Marine?
I spent a great deal of
Marine
time up in the
buddies
I Corps area where the Marines were. I was over there in December '65, and this time I got up to the DMZ, Camp Carroll, and the Rock Pile, and Quezon, and it's quite warm up there in more ways than
Yeah, that's the ruggedest spot, I guess, in Vietnam.
But these guys are fantastic, John. They really, the morale is even better than it was when I was there a year and a half ago, and you know, I don't care what anybody thinks of the war. I just hope to God that we all support them because they need it.
He's fair. Well, while you were going that way, I was going the other way and went over to Greece on some business, and I saw your picture, Africa, Texas style.
You did?
Yeah, I saw it on the plane going over and saw it on the plane coming back.
We had a lot of fun making it. It's playing around the country now.
Yeah, it looks like it was good fun, and you got Guys and Dolls, and you're already doing Cactus Flower, so
we opened in Denver, and then we go to Washington for 2 weeks, and then we'll be in Chicago with Cactus Flower for about 3 or 4 months beginning in September. I hope you folks in that area can see it.
You got a good memory. Nice to have you with us.
Thank you, John.
Right, you take care. Well, you worked hard, and I think you produced tonight, so I congratulate you. We'll all be back after this word. Well, Phyllis, I'm glad you came with your disc to our discotheque tonight.
Thank you.
Gene,
Fun.
good to have you back with
Thank
us
you,
on the
John.
panel this time. And good night, Miss Arlene Francis.
Good idea. Gene just said a terribly funny thing. He said, if you have an interesting occupation, don't write to us.
Start your own show. Good night, fellas.
Good night. Good night, Betty. So
Well, next week's the last, John, and I'm going to miss you. Good night.
No, it's gonna be. Yeah, well, all right. So we'll get together anyway,
An
Bennett.
alumni.
Right, we'll have an alumni association. And thanks to all of you for being with us again on What's My Line.
What's My Line is a CBS television network production in association with Mark Goodson and Bill Todman. It's Francis Gown from Bonwit Teller. This is Johnny Olson speaking. Tonight's program was pre-recorded.